Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
How would you like to make your first million? And today we have a women tech entrepreneur, women in tech. Fantastic. So Elizabeth, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, my name is Elizabeth Andrew. I am a tech entrepreneur. I have been CEO and co-founder of an early stage tech startup, which I sold about 3 months ago. I have been a 3-time VP of sales, 5-time sales leader with 3 exits from technology companies based out of the Silicon Valley, and look forward to the conversation today.
Oh my God. So, hi, Elizabeth. I think that you're a tough cookie, right? Because women in tech doesn't have an easy path, right? Here, the statistics here are actually, we are ashamed of what we are facing worldwide in terms of women in tech. Like 90% of the women in tech, they face a huge challenge to find funding. And so what is it? What the whole fuss about? I think you guys as good and us boys sometimes even better. What happened?
Well, I actually have a very unusual background for technology. I am from the San Francisco Bay Area originally, and when I was early on in my career, in my 20s and early 30s, I was in the investment industry. I started out, ran a call center for a mutual fund company, ended up moving into corporate training and development, and then I ultimately helped Wells Fargo Asset Management build their very first mutual fund company, taking it from $0 to $1 billion with a small founding team. And then I was transferred to the Northeast as an investment wholesaler, calling on investment advisors. And I took that region from 0 to 70 million. So I really learned the foundation of building from the ground up early on in my career. What makes my story really unusual is then when I moved east, my family said to me, go for 2 years, have a great time, don't fall in love. I ended up marrying a New York Italian character and took 17 years as a stay-at-home mom. So I ended up returning to the San Francisco Bay Area in 2011. My kids were getting a little bit older. My oldest was starting high school and felt like it was time to return to the workforce. So I launched a career in my late 40s with no tech experience.
Wow.
In
Oh
the
my
San
God, that's
Francisco Bay
impressive.
Area. And have, managed to be a 5-time sales leader and a CEO and gone through 3 exits since then. So I oftentimes laugh in the investment industry, particularly in the northeast of the US. I was the only woman in the room calling on it. Investment advisors who were 99.9% white men that look like my dad. And then in flash forward a couple decades, I was the oldest person in the room in tech. So it's been a fun run.
Yeah, so how does it feel to be different? I interviewed like 6 months ago, and I quote the Minister of Finance of Zimbabwe, right? And he shared this with me. He told me, Harry, you won't believe, but we are giving us more loans to men and women in Zimbabwe so they can grow the vegetables, right? And once they pay back the loans, they we lend them more money so they can grow more vegetables. And you won't believe what I'm about to tell you, but we have 80% of the women are paying back the loans versus men. So we are very happy to lend to women as the government. That was told by me by the finance minister of Zimbabwe. So apparently, it seems that you girls are better than us looking after money and what the data said, right? So why the whole fuss about why the VC, the venture capitalists and everything are making it so tough for women in tech? I think could be that maybe because the people that takes all these decisions, they are males.
Well, it goes a lot further than that. I think people put a lot of weight on VC funding. I don't necessarily think that
I agree.
success or failure of a company. Getting funding isn't what makes a company successful. It's,
I agree with you.
a value added business, right? In profitable business is what makes a company successful. But, this is something that unfortunately, decades ago when I was in investment wholesaling and I was the only woman in the room and, there was nobody there was no diversity at all of any sorts in finance, right? And so technology, certainly in California, there's a lot more diversity than there was. But if you ever have looked at really started out from like the McKinsey study, women in the workplace, the numbers are dire. If you look at women on corporate boards, there was a period of time that 20% of the Fortune 500 companies had zero women representation. Last I checked, there was at least one woman on every board, but that, it should be 50-50, right? So
yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there.
no, we're actually not, to be honest. We're kind of moving backwards since the
Really?
pandemic.
Backwards? Oh, tell me about it.
Yeah,
Here in
yeah.
London, for example, Sophie, the president of Facebook, is women. So, but I think we let's be honest, we see a very little progress. So still something is going on, and we don't know what is it, right? Because look at you, it's very impressive what you achieved. Yeah, we're gonna talk about this later on. Yeah, no more than one exit, like 3 exits in the tech industry, which is a nightmare. I'm telling you because I invest in tech, so I know from A to Z what's going on, and it's difficult. Do you think that actually the success, and let's dig deep, because what we found the problem that we find it in tech companies is that there's greatest software developers, right? They create this amazing product, they patent it, they think that they're gonna change the world with that, right? And they don't realize that this is only 20% of the equation, that sales and marketing is gonna make the other 80, right? And do you think that your background in sales and marketing is the key of your success, of your exits?
I think I think that it certainly helps. Working in Silicon Valley, I've worked for a lot of genius CEOs as a sales leader, and they all think the product is going to sell itself. It never does. It requires selling, and I won't go work for a CEO who hasn't sold their product themselves.
Oh, well, fantastic. Great.
If they come from the technical or product side, right? So, it certainly helps. I think really what the key to my success has been is really learning early on that playbook. Call it a sales playbook, but it was really a playbook of creating a roadmap for success. And so that's something that I have used not only early in my career, taking a region from 0 to 70 million. It helped me in relaunching my career and getting back into the workforce. I was totally unemployable. Nobody would even talk to me.
Tell me about it. After being so many years working home mom, and this is huge, yeah. So then, Elizabeth, tell us the truth, yeah. How tough is to convince these boys that they have this amazing tech product, that if they don't sell the product and they don't put 80% of the energy in marketing and sales, they have nothing? How tough is to talk with this boy to actually bring them to reality? Or do you find it easy? Can you
Are you
persuade?
talking about the CEOs?
Yeah,
Are you talking about
the CEOs, the founders,
Well,
because
I
we
think
have
if
in
you
tech, let's face it, we see two things in tech general. We see some companies, right, that what they do is they analyze the market first. They see that it's an opportunity. They see that there are a certain amount of people that they're willing to buy and pay for the product. And then they go back and develop the product and sell it to this market. Yeah, this is scenario number A, which is amazing. But we see more the scenario number B. We see more a lot of tech guys that go out there, develop an amazing software. They think they're going to change the world with the software. without even knowing that it's gonna take 80% of the effort, money, time, energy, and resources to actually make this product market fit. And have you have all the companies that you have worked with, it had been in the case number one or case number two?
Yeah, I mean that I've worked for both, but you know, I think to answer your question in terms of like what whether it's easy or not, you know, I think you just look at the data, right? If you look at and it doesn't, this is not gender specific. I mean, if you look at most early stage founders, the biggest and most expensive mistake they make is in their early sales hires. Right? They either hire somebody they bring in a VP of sales too early when they haven't gotten any of the traction on their own as a founder. And, you know, the average tenure of a first VP of sales in an early stage company is about 9 months. You know, and I've worked for companies where I've been the third or fourth sales leader, you know, and, obviously the problem isn't sales in that situation.
Yeah. So which advice do you have for women in tech out there that is finding that their voice is not being heard and they feel frustrated and they think that they are in an environment that is biased because there is not enough representation for them? What message do you have for them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that, you know, and to the point earlier in this conversation, the pandemic was a big setback. If you look at the data from McKinsey's study and Lean In, which was Sheryl Sandberg, they do in conjunction, you know, the women in the workforce, right? And the numbers have dropped in C-suite roles. A lot of women, a lot of senior technologists that I know are opting out. They're tired. They're done with it. And they're becoming entrepreneurs and wanting to do their own thing, right? So women are dropping out more than men out of the industry now. And, you know, with the pandemic and kids being home, you know, it impacted the women professionals more than men. You know, my big thing that I always advise people, the single most important thing in any job, happiness, is who you report directly to. You know, even if you're a CEO, who's your VC? Like whoever you're reporting directly to will make or break your job in terms of happiness. It's not the product, it's not the team, it's whether or not you feel supported or not feel supported, right? So, you know, I tell people to really seek out their manager or their leader who that they're going to work for, you know, and almost look for that when you're trying to develop your career. The second thing is making a plan, you know, and really creating a roadmap for yourself to map out your career in order to take it to the next level.
Okay, so which advice do you have there for these for the women and boys tech entrepreneurs that they just develop a product, right? And they are in this period to get the product market fit, but they don't have enough credibility. They just finish the product and they're trying to find the first client. So what can they do? Because they don't have enough credibility. Nobody believes in them. And they say, hey, I have this product that's gonna solve your problem. Can you pay me? And the client is looking at them and said, how come I'm gonna pay you? You haven't done this before. So which advice do you have for every tech startup out there on the pursuit to find the first client that is going to be a great validation of the product because it's going to link the path to make the product market fit? What can you tell them?
Become a salesperson. Even if you're from the technical side or you're from the product side, you've got to become a salesperson.
And if they don't like sales, if they hate sales, what happened?
Then they shouldn't be in business because you know, I won't personally, I'm far enough along in my career as a sales leader. I will not work for a CEO that hasn't sold at least 5 to 10 deals on their own. The first deals in a startup have to be sold by the founders.
Tell us why, Elizabeth. Why this is a key criteria for you? Why?
Because even if they don't have the sales strategy, nobody is going to ever be as passionate about the product as the founders. And if the founders can't sell it, nobody can sell it.
Yeah, and also, Elizabeth, that if a founder at least has sold like 5 to 10 products, right? when you talk with the founder about sales strategy, about how you think, right? The founder is gonna be involved. He's not an expert. He doesn't have your level of expertise, and we are not expecting out of the founder to know to have your experience. However, you're gonna be explaining things to that founder, and because he has sold before, he knows that what you're doing is not easy. He knows that it takes challenges. He can actually value more your work because he said, wow, Elizabeth wanna go there, and she said that she's gonna bring 100 customers. I'm like a founder, I sold 10 and it was a big headache. And he's gonna be like, wow, let me get you're gonna sell 200. This founder is gonna give you all support you need, right? Because you already know that he sold 10 and it was tough, right? And now you come with the idea to sell 100. Wow, he's gonna tell you, okay, Elizabeth, what do you need? Yeah, I can work full time for you. However, if the founder hasn't sold at all, it's gonna be very difficult for you to have a conversation with them because number one, they're not gonna value your work, they're not gonna value your time, and also probably they don't even know what it's gonna take and what they have to do on the part, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big piece of it. There's a lot, like I actually worked for one CEO. She was a woman, female CEO, great company, it was bootstrapped, good exit. She was a Yale undergrad, Harvard MBA, very smart,
Wow.
very, and she said the hardest thing that she's ever done in her life was enterprise sales in an early stage startup, right? And
Tell me about
it is very challenging, but I think there's more to it than that. As I come in, again, if the founder hasn't been able to sell it, you don't know if there's product, you don't know anything. At least you can come in as a sales leader and you can interview the 10 customers to see why they're buying. Typically, those early customers are not the right fit, the right customer. But really where I excel personally as a sales leader, and now I'm doing it on a consulting basis, is I have early stage founders that have had that success to close 5 or 10 deals, and now they want to scale, and they don't have any of the sales knowledge to build out an infrastructure to scale. So I come in and I do a full audit. I interview the customers, I interview other employees, I interview the CEO to really understand what it is that is compelling about the story and why that CEO has been able to sell the story. And then I can build out the framework and the infrastructure to scale it and take that knowledge from the CEO and make that repeatable for additional salespeople to come on down the line.
So then, Elizabeth, the other thing is that when we're talking about technology, let's face it, right? The out of the 10 companies, out of the 10 richest people in this world, probably 8 of them are technology companies, right? The Googles, the Facebook, and SpaceX, right? They are all most of them technology based, right? So why do you think that that the tech valuation, right, of companies, that's why they have very successful exit? We noticed that that the tech company, they have different valuation that other companies. Like for example, restaurant, you're gonna sell it, could be 3 times or 5 times revenue or profit, and this amount, the amount that you sell it. However, tech sometimes is like 12x, and depending on the company, could be 15x. So why tech companies get high valuation than other business?
Well, that's changed a lot.
I agree with you. Used to be the case, but now it's getting close to reality, right?
Yeah. It used to be the standard for software, SaaS companies. The standard was about 10x.
10x, yeah.
A couple of years ago, and now it's closer to 4 or 6, probably really even 4.
Which is more close to reality, right?
Absolutely, and it
this
comes
is
down,
how all businesses are valued, correct?
right, and it comes down to, in my opinion, anyway. I mean, there's a lot of factors involved, right? But like, there again, I think there's been a huge emphasis on, hey, we just raised 10 million in funding, we're a successful company. Well, that's not necessarily true. Now you're just in debt.
Exactly.
So,
you have to sell your product, right?
right. So, what we've seen in the last couple of years is all these companies are really coming back to normal or more normalcy of focusing on efficiency and, and not spending money in ridiculous ways.
Okay, so what's your take in AI? Do you think that AI for the tech industries can actually, those productivity tools can help startup founders to get the product market fit faster? Or do you think that these AI tools out there, they're very good because they are helping a lot, but at the end of the day, they're taking all your data and you don't know what's happening with this data? So what's your take on that?
Yeah, so I actually spent a year as a VP of sales of an AI company. Now I left at the end of 2022, so about 18 months ago, and it's like entirely different industry because the chat GPT has come out, so there's been a lot of evolution just in a very short.
Everybody here in London are throwing money like crazy. You only mention AI in your startup, and they are like, how much you want, how much you need, right? Now
Yeah.
is the flavor of the day now in tech, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, right now what we're dealing with is it's the wild, wild west. It's very, very early on in the AI. I mean, the AI is the future for sure. There's a lot of AI companies out there that won't be there in 5 years,
Like happened with the .com and with everything else, right?
Yeah, and I think people are learning, I do tell like even my kids, like learn to use AI, learn to use Chat GPT. It's going to be part of your life. Figure it out. Like you should be using it on a daily basis, but use it as a tool to help your life, not to overtake your life, right? And I do think personally, and this is a very controversial thing, I do think, the job situation is people are being replaced by computers. There are new jobs being created, the AI prompt engineers and things like that. But I think that it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens in the next 5 to 10 years in AI. From my experience, I'm seeing a lot of enterprise companies, especially in the enterprise, that they know they need to adopt AI. They have budgets set aside for AI. Many of them are exploring and kicking tires and getting into paid pilots. Not a lot of them have really started investing in AI solutions yet. They're really just kicking tires and running pilots. And so there's not a lot of money going into AI. There's a lot of money going into investing in AI companies, but there's not.
But not actually in developing actually products that will be in the long term, right? And let's talk about this, Elizabeth, about the flavor of the day, because it seems that the tech space is always a flavor of the day, right? And there is always a rush, yeah? First was the internet, after came the .com, then the blockchain, now AI, and in the next year it's gonna be something else. And there is always a new flavor of the day, and everybody's running for this unicorn to make $1 billion. And then what happened? The investors throw a lot of money there, and then they lose it all because there was nothing else, and it becomes more and difficult for founders to actually get the product funded because the investors are tired of losing money. So now they want a product market fit, they want traction, they want profit, they want everything before they give you a penny. So why the industry is so driven, especially you guys here in US, that you guys are crazy. If you see something and you think it's gonna be a unicorn, wow, you put a lot of money into this, and sometimes that bring disruption in the normal flow of the company, right? And in the valuations and the whole ecosystem, right?
Well, if you're talking about venture money, right? Like, and you look at the big VCs and whatnot, right? There's a formula. They expect 9 out of 10 of the companies to fail, right? So there's a formula. They know what they're doing. They know what they're investing in, and in this market, if they're being more.
And when they hit the home run, they hit it big, yeah? Because they always say, oh, I lost money or what, but when they hit the home run, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the company. Everybody has a different strategy. Some VCs invest in later stage companies, some invest in earlier stage companies. Some don't go for the home runs, some just aim for doubles, so they or singles, so there's different strategies based on the investors. And I think that's something that, as a founder, and the company that I was co-founder of was a Slack app. It was an app that plugs into Slack.
Oh,
We were
wow,
we
fantastic.
were we were bootstrapped. I didn't want to get funding because I've worked for so many VCs, and I know that changes the expectations on what your revenue numbers are going to be. And so I wanted to be bootstrapped. I don't necessarily think that getting VC funding is the big win, right? But if you are going to go out and look for funding, you want to find an investor that is actually going to be strategic, that can help you build your business. I mean, there are VCs that are made up of all women. There are VCs that focus mostly on biotech. There are VCs that focus mostly on SaaS companies. There are VCs that focus more on stage C and beyond. So you want to just make sure that you're finding, the investment that can really help you build and scale your company.
Okay, Elizabeth, so what are the 5 steps that women in tech should be doing to achieve the first million?
Yeah, the step is make a plan. You've got to make a plan. And if you want, again, whether it's building your career, if it's doubling your revenue, if it's hitting your sales numbers, if it's relaunching a career and getting back into the job market, make a plan and start by having 4 meaningful meetings every single day. So step 1 is make sure that you have 4 meaningful meetings every single day. Make sure that you have 4 meetings every day, 4 days a week, and have 1 day a week so that you're always scheduled 2 weeks out. And so that for the next 2 weeks that you've got those 4 meetings a day, 4 days a week, a day for follow-up. Again, with the meaningful, I've been in situations where I've been on 10 hours of back-to-back Zoom meetings and had a lot of meetings. That's not necessarily more effective. So you want to make sure that you are, at least 2 of your 4 meetings should be with new people, that you have external from your organization. And if you can't book 4 sales calls a day, or then, or whether it's career development or looking for a job, 4 interviews, then make informative interviews, try to get referrals, and find people that can advance your career. So, 4 meetings a day, 4 days a week, scheduled at least 2 weeks out, making sure they're meaningful, with at least 2 new people, and then take that to scale and just make it repeatable.
Yeah. Okay, that's fantastic, Elizabeth. And then let's talk about in San Francisco. I've been there in the game development conference. Yes, it's huge. The whole ecosystem that you have in technology there in United States. So what are if you need to create this magic formula for a tech entrepreneur to succeed, right? From product development to exit, what would be the most important thing that you will look into it in order to diminish the risks and make the process successful?
Again, are you talking about from the perspective of the person building?
A founder, yeah.
Yeah, make a plan. Make a plan. And I even treat my
Can you
career
expand a little bit more, Elizabeth? Make a plan that includes what?
exactly what I just told you. Make sure you have a roadmap, schedule out your days, your KPIs, and follow them
Yeah, it's right. Yeah.
a basis, right? So it's setting your KPIs and following them. And even as you want to be, I've seen a lot of tech companies. I saw one company that raised $14 million. They were pre-revenue and they burned through it in a year.
Wow.
If you're and I treat myself, even before I was a CEO, I use expression, which has become more common now, is that I'm the CEO of my own life. Bring in more than you spend. And just like you would in a business situation, you should do that as an individual entrepreneur.
So tell us about your TED Talk, right? I think that I wrote in your bio, your TED Talk is speaker. Yeah, I train.
Yes.
This is one of the things that we do here in all over the world is we train speakers how to grow the brand from the stage, so from fellow speaker to fellow speaker. Tell us a little bit more about your TED Talk experience. What was your topic? How you prepared for it?
Yes. Well,
Where
I had
can we see it?
Oh, well, yes, you can Google Elizabeth Andrew, or you connect with me on LinkedIn. Elizabeth A. Andrew on LinkedIn, and I've got it pinned there. Or you can Google the TEDx at Elizabeth Andrew. It's on returning to the workforce, and it's actually
How was
really
your topic? Returning to the workforce. Wow, it's an amazing topic.
well. The topic was let them back in, because
wow,
a lot of companies would not. It was very difficult to get back to work. Even though I had a great career early on, people felt that there was just,
oh yeah, once you're out of the game for 10 years, nobody wants to talk to you, right? So how do you manage? What happened?
Yeah. Well,
you
I
have
mean,
a friend finally?
my argument in
prove yourself.
TEDx was, sorry, my argument in my TEDx was, you can, most of the reasons that people don't look at people returning to the workforce is because they think they're just out of touch with the technology and not up to speed with, with the way the business environment works, right? But you can teach that in 6 to 12 months. You can't teach 20 years of experience in 6 to 12
There you go. Exactly. And then, and I think we need to put more confidence there in women. I think that women are amazing for work. I'm talking by my own experience, right? I remember the first property business that I have. I'm talking 15 years ago. We managed to sell over 5 million doing this thing. And I remember all my sales force, they were women, and it was amazing, right? Because I find them more assertive than men when it comes to sales and to work, right? Especially when you have a startup, that a lot of things are going on. I think that women that are more assertive, they will tell you the reality as it is, right? In the same way that they say to the boys, oh, I don't want to go out with you. Why no? No, because you're ugly. In the same way that women tell us that to boys when we want to go out in business are very assertive. I remember that when the guest was telling me, Harry, this is a problem, I knew that I have to look into it, because the girls, they won't let it happen. They won't be soft, like, oh, don't worry, this is a problem, but we look into next week. No, they were on point, and that has helped me a lot to grow my business. I have a friend, he wrote this book, Women's Are for Venus and Men's Are for Mars, I believe, and he sat with me and he told me, John Gray, his name, and he has sold over 50 million books. And he was telling me, Harry, they are different than you, right? Women are different than men in different perspective, and the things that they are good and their strength point in the personality and so on can be very beneficial for business, for relationship, right? And it's all about business. You cannot be the master of everything, right? You will need people with different skill sets that they are better than you in what your weakest point, right? And what a better way to balance a company, right? That bring a lot of women that have a lot of strength that men don't have because of the nature of how we are. So why do you think that still, and like you said, after COVID, in your opinion, we did a little bit of advance in women in tech and in bringing women back to work, and there is another argument as well, which is going here in UK, that also they pay them less than men, right? And I think it's a global issue, not only in UK. So why do you think that still this stereotype is out there, once actually have not been proved that the same achievement that men can do, women can do, right? We have women prime ministers, same like men, and with the same success and same achievement. We have tech entrepreneurs like you that have exits in the same ways that men has it. So what's going on?
Well, it's not just opinion. There's data behind it. Like women in sales, there's data behind the fact that women outproduce men in sales, and it's not by a lot. I can't remember if like 67. This is I don't have the data in front of me, but like 67% of men exceed quota, where it's like 72% of women exceed quota. There's data to back it up. And I've always said, and if you want something done, ask a mom. Because we are, very good at multitasking. And, I was rebuilding a career and 100% single mom to 3 kids. And, so, I don't know. I feel like we're moving backwards a little bit, but, I don't have the answer as to why, I just think we need to, there's also, there's the reality of pink roles. Like I worked for one tech company that was very proud of being 45% women, but if you really break it down, they were all in marketing and HR. They're very few in sales, 0 in engineering, maybe 1 in product, so, we have to get it's not the glass ceiling, it's the broken rung, it's kind of the middle management area where women are dropping out, and there are a host of
They're
reasons.
brilliant. Yeah, I made millions, and women were all my sales force, so I can speak by experience that they're brilliant at sales, right? So, okay, so some word of encouragement, Elizabeth. If a single mom is listening to this podcast and want to go back to work, and she felt a source of inspiration out of your story, so what message do you have for all single women there that now, the children are growing up, and they think, because let's face it, right? Once the children grow up, they go to university, they go here, they go there, they go with friends, and then you are all alone at home again, right? And and then you start to think you have to reinvent yourself, right? So what message do you have for the women there that they still got it, they just need a chance, and they're listening to the podcast and they want to go for it? What can you tell them?
Well, follow me. First of all, follow me on LinkedIn. I talk a lot about that. There are a lot of resources that I share. There's an organization out of the New York area called I Relaunch. There are returnship programs that help women get back to work. There'll be like a 2-month internship for people returning to the workforce. There are a lot of resources out there. If I can do it after 17 years of a stay-at-home mom and become a CEO, anybody can do it. So, it takes baby steps and takes resilience, but it's absolutely the best thing I've ever done.
I think your story is fantastic, very, very inspiring. Not only come back and have exits in tech, which is one of the widest environment to be in business, because of the speed everything happens, and the complexity, right? Especially being in sales and marketing, like you said, sometimes, most of the time, it's more difficult. What do you think, Elizabeth? Most of the time, it's more challenging actually to sell and market the product that actually develop the product, right?
That is something I can't really speak to be honest, because I'm not an engineer developer.
Yeah.
I haven't, like I was CEO of a company, but my co-founder was the one who developed the product.
Yeah.
So, I think it all depends on what your company and product is.
Exactly. But definitely it's a complex task, right? To bring a product to the market fit, right, and to sell it, especially in so competitive environment when the products are going out there, right? So what future do you see, or what can be done in order to get more women involved in tech? And from the community itself, there is any events, any communities that women can join so they can find support and get more encouragement?
Yep. And, I shared a couple of them. I relaunched Find Communities Outside of the Workforce. There's an endless amount of resources. There are Slack communities, there are paid communities, there are free communities. There's a lot of different resources out there for, women developing their careers, and make sure that you get involved in some of these communities.
So thank you so much, Elizabeth, for this amazing interview. I think that we are very happy to hear your story. I'm a big fan of bringing women to the workplace. I'm a big fan. We train speakers around the world, and actually, I'm a big promoter of bring more women on the stage. Actually, more than 60% of the people that we train in our community speakers and leaders are actually women, and there's a powerhouse, and they have amazing stories, and we are very happy to empower them, and they are very, very powerful, and they speak amazing as well. So I think it's about creating the framework and give more opportunity to women. And you will realize, if you own a business and you bring more women to your team, to your sales, to your marketing, to your product development, you're about to discover something amazing that you might get faster wherever you want to be. I'm telling you from my own experience, for me it was amazing. And still we have in our team 50-50 women and men, right? So thank you so much, Elizabeth. And please send us after the podcast, send us your details for LinkedIn and all the communities that you are creating. And we are more than happy to write in the description of this broadcast so people can join you. Thank you so much. Really powerful. I love your story a lot. Yeah. If you come here to UK to do keynote speech, you're going to have a lot of people shitting from you, because here we push this a lot. Yeah. So people are going to be, yeah. Here there is a strong movement. Again, we're facing the same challenge that you guys there in US, but we're trying to do our best to make it work. It's for the best of everybody, to be honest. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, and for everyone, continuing this series of interviews of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs break that wall and achieve the first million. See you in our next episode. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.